Morning, welcome to Scotty Crafts and Wendy's World. Today we're bringing you Ranger's Dilutions. There's some amazing products in Diane Reveley's range. The newest addition to our collection of Diane Reveley's is the Creative Journal. This is an amazing little journal, and when we move a little bit further down the desk there, we're going to show you a little technique that I've done in it. Also, I've combined it with the watercolour paper by Ranger. We stock this in two sizes. I love the little card face sizes.
I do too.
And it's really, really thick paper, so you don't get bleeding through when you create with it, especially the little technique I'm going to show you in a moment.
Yeah, you're going to show us how that works.
I am.
Quite incredible.
So for the technique, I'll be using things like the ink palette and the watercolour brushes, which we've had featured before. These are amazing tools. I don't know how any crafter can call himself a crafter if they don't own one of these brushes.
This is true. I have two.
So once we get down to the other end, I'll show you the two different types of brushes. Also the little mini misters. I use these for a multitude of things. I love them just for little water spritz bottles. They've got an even spray that's a fine mist, so it's not like a squirt.
That's true, and they don't get blocked up, do
No, they don't clog up. Plus you can just do a project size worth of product in them instead of mixing up a big bottle. I love the Distress ink re-inkers. Great for re-inking your stamp pad, but there's lots of other things you can also do with them. So with the technique that I'm going to show you, we're going to use some of the new Halloween stamps that have just come in. Now you're going to have to be in quick for these. Halloween is the end of this month. Already these are starting to sell out the door. People have noticed them and they're disappearing, so be in quick.
Just look at how Diane Reveley's...
I'd love to use this and then stick people's heads on the top of it.
I tell you what,
imagine for a party page. For a party page, I think that'd be awesome. But the technique I'm going to show you will work for any of these stamps, like the leaf ones, or any of the stamps that we sell actually, so long as they've got some open ground on them. So to do the technique, we're going to stamp with Versamark or the Distress embossing ink.
Yes.
Then we're going to put on black embossing powder. We're going to heat it with a heat gun.
Yep.
Which you need. Now when you use the heat gun, if you use something like black embossing powder, it's always a really, really good idea to start heating your powder from underneath the paper.
Really?
Because that'll stop blowing any loose particles of embossing powder over and sticking it to your page.
Wow.
So start wafting it around under your paper. As you notice it starting to melt, bring the heat gun back up onto the top of the paper and give it a good heat until it's all set.
That's a really cool Wendy tip, that is.
Yeah, that one's $10.
Okay, I'll add that.
I just wanted to show you also with the watercolour paper. This is incredible paper. It's got like an orange peel texture on one side.
Yes, I
so
think
for
we're
all your
that up.
background techniques, that'd be gorgeous. The other side is very smooth, and this is the side that I've used when I want to do detail stamping.
Okay.
Because you don't have to get it right down into the ruts when you stamp. So here I've done two images, as I said, using the black embossing powder, the Distress ink, and my heat gun. Distress embossing ink, I should say.
They really do give a lovely detailed image, don't
and it's
they?
quite raised on the paper.
Yeah.
You know, you've got like little ridges, which is what we need for the technique.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've zoomed in on this, Adrian. This is the diary. So this is the technique I'm going to show you, and it's colour flooding. So you don't have to actually colour in, which for me, sometimes I love colouring in, other times I'm a bit lazy and I think, oh, I'll just blob some colour on here and there. So this is a perfect technique for that.
So it's colour flooding.
Colour flooding. So you take your little palette, you use your re-inkers, which have got like a little pipette thing on them. You just take it out, put a little drop into your tray. Then you take your embossed image, you mist it with water. I'm just going to make sure I'm aiming this in the right place. I don't really want a face full of it.
Now you really do need watercolour paper to do this.
Most definitely, most definitely. Load it up with quite a lot of water. Take your fine tipped brush. These brushes, there's two tips. I'll show you the other one once we get to talking about the background on the book. Pick the colour that you want. So here I'm just using, I think it's spiced marmalade. And you just tap and you watch it blot across your paper.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
And you don't, I'm not colouring, I'm just basically tapping it in. If I want to add like a little darker colour, I can clean my brush off on a scrap of like wet wipe and then just add another colour in. And I'm just dotting it over the moist area.
So that the water that's taking it across.
Pulls it across, yep.
Wow.
Now, probably the only little drawback with this is you've then got to sit it and leave it to dry.
Yes.
So once it's dry, you'll get this sort of look. And you can see I've flooded it quite a lot because it's all come out onto the edge of the paper. But if I flip this over,
There's nothing come through
it doesn't
at all.
come through.
So that really
shows
great.
you how heavily bonded this paper is. It's like solid, basically.
Yeah, that is lovely.
So once you've got your images to this area, you then just cut around them, and then you're looking at my tray here saying, gosh, there's a lot of ink left over. Usually I'll set it up and I'll do like 4 or 5.
Yes.
But what you do is you then come along with the broad tip brush. This brush is amazing. You can splay the things right out by taking the little guard off it.
Oh, wow.
Or pop it back on. These brushes you fill under a tap just by unscrewing it, and I just squeeze it and let the water run in and let the squeeze out as it fills.
Okay.
So that they're continuously cleaning paintbrush.
Oh, wow, okay.
So then to do my background on the journal here, what I've done is use my spritz bottle, sprayed it with a lot of water. I load it up with water, pick up the colour, and then just dot it in areas, come back in, spray again. Now you'll notice with this journal, it hasn't also gone through the pages.
Wow, so this journal is made up of very similar paper, if
Very
not the
similar.
same paper to the watercolour paper.
It's stitch bound, which means instead of like it's got a stitching instead
Yes.
of glued, which means your
Yes.
glue's not going to let go when you add a lot of water to it.
Okay.
And I've only got very slight bleeding in the seams where I've loaded the colour up because my
Yes.
pages were sitting like this, and of course all the water comes down to the middle. I do blot off occasionally as well, but just really nice that your pages are left clean for the next project.
It's a really cool little journal.
It's a
book,
cool
isn't
little
it?
journal. It's also got like a little pen hole. It's got envelope that you
For your
can
tags.
tie for all your bits and pieces, memorabilia, and it's got like an elastic fastening that you pull around and let go. I haven't even started on this journal yet. I want to really decorate this cover hard
Yeah,
out. So
and then we'll do a
it'll be
whole
watch this
Wendy's-
spot.
Absolutely, a Wendy's World of Decorating Illusions Creative Journal.
So that's a little technique for today. Go away and you can see already, if you come back onto this, that it's already started to bleed together. It started to leach out of the paper. I'm not bothered about that at all because
No.
that'll all be trimmed away.
Because that will eventually look like
Like that, or this,
or that, which will eventually look like
that.
that. Isn't that cool, crafters? You have to admit this is just the quickest, easiest technique, and I had never heard of it. So there we go. And also remember that if you don't want to necessarily put it in an already bound journal.
Oh, yes, the Zutta.
Yeah, you can
make your own
you can
book
make your own
using
with the
Zutta.
watercolour pages, and then just bind them together with the Zutta machine, which at the moment comes with a free Bind It All Around the
that
World
book's
project
amazing.
book. It is. So the whole deal for the book and for the Zutta machine is $129.99. Plus, of course, you will need some watercolour paper.
Oh, some re-inkers, little palette.
Yeah. In fact, all
Stamps.
these wonderful, wonderful things that have just arrived in. So have fun shopping at Wendy's World this week. And
Be quick, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.